Today I will run down a 2018 crime thriller film titled The Girl in the Bunker. This film was based on true events that happened on September 6, 2006. The girl was walking home from high school when a police officer approached her and kidnapped her. He kept her in the underground bunker for 10 days. Please be advised that there will be spoilers ahead of this video, so chill out and enjoy it as I narrate it for you. The film opens up with 14-year-old Elizabeth Schoaf in the middle of a class with her fellow students. Shortly, the man, who presents himself as a police detective, enters the classroom and meets the class teacher. After having a serious conversation with the teacher, the detective orders Lucy Jennings to get her stuff and accompany him outside. When the students are heading home, Elizabeth talks to her best friend Amanda about Lucy's earlier incident in the class. Amanda says that she heard that the cops visited Lucy's home a few days ago. But she couldn't understand what was happening since Lucy's mother's behavior was also fairly strange. The moment Elizabeth arrives at their residence, the first thing she has to do is call her mother, Madeline, to let her know that she and her younger brother, Bobby, have arrived home safely. The scene shifts to the strange man excavating a grave behind Schoaf's residence in the middle of the night. The following morning, Madeline has to drop off Elizabeth and Bobby at the bus stop while Don Schoaf, the father, leaves the house with his friend to go hunting in the woods. Madeline is in a hurry because she's late for work. Elizabeth's mascara falls out of her bag, but she's also in a hurry to notice it. Elizabeth requests her mother's permission to spend the weekend at Amanda's place as they are traveling. Madeline has no problem with Elizabeth's visit, but Amanda's mother has to give her permission. As soon as Elizabeth learned that her mascara was missing from the bag, she begged Madeline to drive her back to the house to fetch it. The mother declined her plea since she's already running late for work. After an altercation between Elizabeth and her mother, Madeline becomes irate and tells Elizabeth not to come back home if she can't modify her attitude. In the class, Elizabeth receives a note from her boyfriend Case, inquiring about their Saturday meeting and outing schedule. When Elizabeth and Amanda head home from school, Case decides to walk with them before pulling out the joint stick and lighting it on fire, and Amanda joins him when Elizabeth refuses. The moment Case spots his friend's car approaching, he conceals the item in Elizabeth's purse because he's worried his parents will find out. Case offers Elizabeth a ride before they part ways. But she turned down his offer, stating that she prefers to walk because it's a walkable distance home. Suddenly, an mystified man named Vincent Filyawstory in glasses emerges from the woods near Elizabeth's house and calls her out. The man is posing as a local police officer and claims that he has taken her brother Bobby into custody. When Elizabeth cautiously walks up to him, he handscuffs her hands right away, accusing her and her brother of growing marijuana in their backyard. Despite Elizabeth's best efforts to convey that she has nothing to do with this, Vincent instead puts a bomb around her neck and threatens to explode it if she tries to open it or escape. Elizabeth just needs to do as the man says in order to be safe. He then yanks her out so she can meet her little brother right away. Bobby answers his mother's phone at her house, asking whether Elizabeth has provided him something to eat. Bobby informs Madeline that his sister is still not home, which makes the mother think Elizabeth had gone to visit her friend Amanda. Just a few minutes later, Madeline gives Bobby another call to ask if Elizabeth has come back home yet, but she's informed that she has not yet shown up. Madeline instructs her son to check at the end of the road, where the bus usually drops her off. Once the mother realizes that her daughter is missing, she attempts to contact Amanda to find out where Elizabeth is. Elizabeth is in the woods, wondering herself why she is being carried so far away from their backyard. Vincent eventually confesses that he is not a police officer and that he has abducted her. Elizabeth is shocked to learn this. The man threatens to shoot her if she tries to scream or run away. After walking a certain distance in the woods, the kidnapper orders Elizabeth to enter his underground hiding bunker. The girl begs Vincent not to kill her as she grows more terrified within the bunker. Madeline starts to feel anxious as it gets late for her daughter to be home. When she meets with Amanda and her mother, they advise her to call and report to the police. The moment Don gets home from his hunting excursion, Madeline informs him that their daughter is missing. The husband calmed her down and reassured his wife that Elizabeth would return home shortly. That instant, 2 policemen showed up at their residence, and after checking the neighborhood's woods, they couldn't find any traces of their daughter's disappearance. The officers then interview Madeline regarding their actions and the circumstances that might lead up to Elizabeth's disappearance. Madeline tells them that earlier in the morning, she got into a fight with Elizabeth over the mascara cosmetic. Because of their prior fight, the police surmise that Elizabeth purposefully chose to run away rather than come back home. Madeline vehemently disputes this by pointing out that her daughter won't run without her mascara. Madeline's claims are not enough. They don't convince the police officers, so they advise her to contact them if the daughter doesn't show up after 24 hours. Elizabeth is being held hostage underground. She can't fight back at this point. All she can do is cry in terror. The thing that starts to irritate Vincent then threatens to kill her if she doesn't stop crying. He reveals to her that there are so many traps and explosives in the woods that it is difficult for her to escape him. When Vincent turns on the news, he informs Elizabeth that no one is searching for her because there hasn't been any news coverage of her disappearance. The two police officers again visit the Schoaf residence. Elizabeth's mother asserts that her daughter won't just wake up and walk away, at least she could have informed one of her friends. The two police officers report the matter to their superior, Sheriff Thompson, who chastises them for their tardiness and states that the first 24 hours after the disappearance are the most critical. They have to do whatever it takes to find her, dead or alive. Elizabeth comes to the realization that she will never be able to quell her captors' inhuman behaviors, so she tries to calm herself by thinking about her boyfriend and all the good times they spent together. Don organizes his friends and starts looking for his daughter in the woodland. They cross the fence into Vincent's property. The moment the captor heard their voices, he placed the gun on Elizabeth's head, telling her not to make any stupid mistake by shouting for help. Once Don and his crew discover no indication that his daughter might be in the forest, they decide to walk back. Elizabeth can't help but cry when she hears her father's voice. 4 days have now passed since the girl's disappearance. This caught the attention of the media, and they began to report on it. Elizabeth cried with emotion the moment she watched her mother on the news, telling her how much Pa and Mam love her and hope she gets back home soon. Elizabeth wants to start getting away from this maniac. However, she has to deal cautiously because she knows that every mistake she makes could endanger her life. To gain Vincent's trust, the girl strikes up a conversation with him by answering all of his questions. Elizabeth now understands why Vincent set up the hideout and took her hostage. Prior to her kidnapping, Vincent tells her that he had intended to move into the bunker with his girlfriend, whom he nicknamed Peanut. The kidnapper claims that Peanut spread lies about him by accusing him of raping, and she reported the incident to the police, which forced him to hide himself in the bunker. He sidestepped Peanut but decided to replace her with someone else. Regrettably, Elizabeth was abducted since she was at the right time in the wrong place. During the night, Elizabeth tries to grab for Vincent's gun while he's seemingly asleep. However, she can't do so because her neck is restrained. When Vincent wakes up, he hears helicopters being dispatched to search for the girl. He then covers himself and Elizabeth with aluminum foil to evade the infrared heat sensors. Elizabeth then makes use of this chance to make another attempt to talk to Vincent in an apologetic way. Elizabeth hopes the kidnapper will fall for her act of claiming to love him. Consequently, the girl is gradually able to identify a vulnerability in Vincent and take advantage of it. Elizabeth's efforts yielded fruit because Vincent fell for her trick and took off the handcuffs and chains. The kidnapper thinks he can now trust Elizabeth, then starts to teach her shooting using his gun. Although this pistol isn't a real gun, it can nonetheless be lethal up to 5 meters. Vincent is amazed by Elizabeth's rapid shooting skills with the gun. In the middle of the night, Vincent puts handcuffs back on Elizabeth's hands and takes her to retrieve food that someone had left in the trunk of an old vehicle. Shortly, they headed to pour river water into the gallon. The sound of a helicopter startles Vincent once again, then he orders Elizabeth to quickly follow him back to the bunker. Elizabeth seizes this opportunity and deliberately leaves one shoe behind in the grass. She's hoping that someone will find it as evidence of her presence. The 7th day has already passed, but Elizabeth is still in the man's captivity. The girl starts to resume her plans the moment Vincent falls back asleep. She attempts to use her kidnapper's cell phone to send a message to her mother. Sadly, there is no signal underground, so the message cannot be transmitted. Elizabeth then tries to push the door to find the mobile signal. Fortunately, the message was conveyed well, and then she hastily erased the message from the phone. Elizabeth pulls out the gun to shoot her captor in the head in order to escape. But the gun is jammed and doesn't fire a single shot when she pulls the trigger. Then she returns it to its holster. Sheriff Thompson notifies Elizabeth's parents in the evening that the hunt will shortly come to an end, claiming Elizabeth might not be in their region any longer. The sheriff informs the Schoaf family that they have traversed about 20 square miles and have found no sign of their daughter. The following morning, when Madeline opens her phone on the 8th day, she is taken aback to see that Elizabeth has left a message that their neighbor kidnapped her and is keeping her underground. She warns them that there are mines and traps all around the place. Don advises Madeline not to call the number just yet. They have decided to contact the police. However, the two police officers permit Madeline to call the number because they believe the message was a prank. Luckily, Sheriff Thompson just arrived in time to prevent Madeline from dialing the number because doing so would put Elizabeth in grave danger. When the police make a quick run into the number that sent the message, it is revealed that the phone was found to be registered to a woman by the name of Catherine Heaths. Then the police promptly proceeded to Catherine's home. One of the police officers recalls that he has been to her house several times as they get there. He informs them that Catherine's boyfriend, named Vincent Filyawstory, was involved in harassment and a murder case 1 year ago, but they had never met the suspect at home. When Sheriff Thompson questions Catherine about the whereabouts of her boyfriend, all she says is that it has been more than a year since she last saw Vincent. Just then, they find an underground chamber that is accessible from Catherine's bedroom. At this point, they're convinced that the reason they couldn't find Vincent around is because he was a tough digger. According to the sheriff, the message was sent from a cell phone that was registered in her name. The sheriff cornered her when he asked Catherine how Vincent obtained her phone, which she had purchased only 3 weeks prior. If Vincent kills Elizabeth, the dire repercussions alarm Catherine, and then she finally shows officers the vehicle where she keeps the food when Vincent asks for it. That instant, the sheriff orders his men to encircle the entire woodland. Officer Thompson decides to use the media to reveal Vincent's name in order to lure him into his trap. Despite being too risky, the sheriff is well versed in the fact that Vincent is a coward and will likely run away. The moment Vincent sees his name on the news that evening, he gets scared and starts to suspect Elizabeth. The girl denies all the allegations, including sending a message to her parents. Elizabeth persuades angered Vincent that she wants to be with him through thick and thin and that she loves him. Elizabeth learns at this point that her classmate Lucy Jennings, the one who was shown at the start of the film, is the peanut that Vincent earlier referenced. Furthermore, Catherine is Vincent's girlfriend, and Lucy's mother is the one who keeps the food in the trunk of the car after a text message. He tells her that he had long-term feelings for Catherine's daughter and had even considered marriage. But she was taken away when she spread the raping accusations about him. Vincent tells Elizabeth to stay and wait for him until he comes back. He'll marry her. Elizabeth reassures Vincent that he needs to leave right away and that she will be waiting for him. The moment Vincent left the bunker, Elizabeth finally plucked up the confidence to emerge out of the underground on the 10th day. The girl shouts hello for help in the woods. Lucky for them, Sheriff Thompson and his squad hear the girl's voice and come running up to her. Elizabeth learns that the hidden bombs and traps in the woods were all fake. Sheriff Thompson brings the good news to the Sheriff's family. Their daughter was found and taken to the hospital for a medical checkup. Madeline, Don, and Bobby all head to the hospital to reunite with Elizabeth once again. Vincent Filyawstory received a 421-year prison term after being found guilty of several offenses. This brings the movie to an end. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications to watch more of my videos. Have a good day.